Hello everyone, class is in session. My name is Jack from Cultaholic.com and I'm here to talk about the go-home show for SummerSlam 2018. That's right, how exciting. Well, to be fair, sometimes the build's been a little bit shaky, especially on the Raw side. We've not had too many good Raw shows, but was this one any good in Greensboro, North Carolina? Let's find out and let's get straight into Graded. So we opened the show with Ronda Rousey, who delivered quite a touching tribute to Jim the Anvil Neidhart, who sadly passed away this past weekend, and also paid tribute to Natalya, who's obviously absent from Raw. I don't think anyone would expect her to be there, of course. But no, it was, to be fair to Ronda Rousey, right? She's not been the best on the mic. That's always been sort of the weak point since she joined WWE. That's been the weakest part of her game. But this was the strongest performance on the mic, I think, that we've seen from Ronda Rousey since the beginning. And I think that's really good. It was a lot of trust shown by WWE to place such an important opening segment, especially with Jim Neidhart involved, in the hands of Ronda Rousey, but she stepped up and she totally delivered. So well done. Good start to the show. Rousey then announced that Natalya versus Alexa Bliss wouldn't be taking place tonight, obviously, and that Natalya was going to be replaced by Ember Moon, who is just one of the most exciting women in the women's division on Raw right now. And she came out to the ring, and then Alexa Bliss came out with Alicia Fox and some personal security, aka big beardy indie guys. It was like a little team of mini Braun Strowmans, which I thought was adorable, given that Alexa and Braun have a special friendship, as we saw in the Mixed Match Challenge. Alexa then cut a typically brilliant heel promo, saying basically, Ronda, you're really overrated. That stupid face you do when you're pretending to be angry is really silly as well. Like that was pretty good stuff. Then Alexa and Alicia Fox made their way down to the ring with security, and Ronda Rousey beat the hell out of all of these big men. It was brilliant. She also beat up Alicia Fox a little bit, and then the match was underway. On the whole, I'm going to give this opening segment an A-. I thought everyone did their job really well. I thought Ronda over-delivered on the mic. I wasn't expecting much from her at all. And yeah, and the important subject matter of Jim the Anvil Neidhart was dealt with very well indeed. So yeah, no complaints here. Good start to the show, A-. Then of course we had the match between Alexa and Ember Moon, and I was interested to see how Alexa would weasel her way out of the match, because you can't have the Raw Women's Champion lose, obviously, on the eve of SummerSlam, but at the same time, you've got to keep Ember Moon looking strong. What they did was they allowed Ember Moon to hit her finisher, actually on Alexa Bliss, the Eclipse. It looked awesome as per usual. Then she went for the cover, and then Alicia Fox slid in and broke it up, and then it all broke down, and then Ronda Rousey threw Alicia Fox around quite a lot. Quite a lot indeed, with it by her sore arm as well. Merciless. I'm going to give this a B+. It fired the crowd up for the first match of the night. It was pretty good, but also at the same time, Alicia Fox's breakup of the pinfall was a little bit weak. Like, she sort of slid in and just kind of went, and just kind of pushed Ember Moon off Alexa Bliss, and half the crowd thought that actually Ember Moon had won. That's how close it was. So that wasn't too good, but the rest of the match was pretty good. I have no major complaints. B+, and now I don't know who's going to win actually at SummerSlam between Ronda and Alexa, because Ronda at the end looked really strong. Could that be just sort of a false sense of security? Who knows? Next up, Baron Corbin versus Tyler Breeze. Always good to see Tyler Breeze getting some form of action, especially with Fandango sadly on the shelf. This match wasn't very long at all, really. It wasn't that good. It was all right. Baron Corbin pretty much ground Tyler Breeze down, but when Tyler Breeze came back into it, he was hitting offense in a very exciting and friggity fresh way, yo. But then Tyler Breeze got caught with the deep six, a really good looking deep six, by the way. Like, the momentum on it was great. The centrifugal force was awesome. Centrifugal foursome. No, God no, that sounds awful. Corbin picked up the win, and I'm going to give this match a B-. It wasn't spectacular, but it did its job, and it wasn't the end of the segment. It continued, as we will see. Corbin got up fresh from his victory and immediately booked a handicap match between Finn Balor and the heel team of Kevin Owens and Jinder Mahal. Everyone was like, boo, you're screwing Finn Balor, he's so little and handsome. That's what I imagine people were saying. But as the match was about to begin, Kurt Angle came out onto the scene. Big pop for Kurt. We all love Kurt, don't we? And he said, no, you might have made that match, Corbin, but I make the matches around here overall. And I've got a replacement, like a tag team partner for Finn Balor to even things up. It's going to be a 2-on-2 match featuring Finn Balor and Braun Strowman. And might I say, Strowman looked awesome in this match. He was throwing fools around left, right and centre, causing havoc on the outside. And it's the first time in a few weeks where I've been actually genuinely excited by a Braun Strowman match. He's been kind of hindered by the weird little feud with Kevin Owens up until now, but this was really good. He even picked up Mr. Singh on the outside, chucked him into the other two heels, and it was a rare instance of WWE's chaotic camera work actually going well. It looked like landmines were going off on the outside because the cameraman was trying to get out of the way. Pretty good. Strowman picked up the win with the running power slam on Jinder Mahal, keeping Owens safe for their match at SummerSlam, which I, really appreciate. At the same time, I'm going to give this match a B. I think it was pretty decent. It was a very Raw tag team match, nothing outside of the ordinary, but it did its job, and I don't think we can complain about that. And if you are complaining about that, then you're a snob and a loser. Speaking of losers, next up we had a jobber in the ring by the name of Ricky Roberts, looking like a rubbish... At first I was like, oh, he's a rubbish Jeff Jarrett. It turns out he was a rubbish Elias. He had a guitar with him. He cut a promo because jobbers always get promo segments on Raw, and he said, you know what, I might not be able to play this guitar too good now, but one day I'm gonna be real good. Then Elias appeared on the stage and said, if you're such a big fan of me, you can impress me a lot by humiliating and defeating Bobby Lashley right here, right now. Lashley came out, hit the ring, and immediately I was like, oh no, Ricky Roberts is a lot smaller than Bobby Lashley. Lashley ran down Ricky Roberts and said, look kid, you need to get yourself a new shtick, because we've already got one loser guitar player out here, and his name's Elias. And everyone went, oh, that's the SmackDown of the century. Then Ricky Roberts hit Bobby Lashley before the bell with his guitar, and Bobby Lashley no-sold it because he's Bobby Lashley, and then destroyed him with a big spine buster. And I was like... Unfortunately, I'm going to have to give this a D. It was one of the weaker parts of the show by far. I don't know what they're doing with Bobby Lashley still. Elias still, does his job. He's a perfectly good heel. But at the same time, what are they doing with Bobby? What are they doing with him? I don't understand, because Lashley and Elias have had some very strange segments over the past few weeks, especially the Rock and Robin segment. This wasn't as bad as that, but it was still a bit, ineffective. It didn't get across that we're meant to cheer for Lashley. He actually seemed like a little bit of a bully to poor Ricky Rock and Robin. Let's call him Rock and Robin. Next up, the three-way tag team match for the Raw Tag Team Championships, the B Team versus the Revival versus Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt. I thought this was going to take place at SummerSlam, but I was wrong, or at least on the SummerSlam pre-show, but no, it took place on Monday Night Raw, which... fair enough, because it narrowed down the field, as we'll see, and it's led to a singles tag team match, if that makes sense, a 2-on-2 match without a third team for SummerSlam weekend. This was pretty good. Everyone's been a bit frustrated recently with the B team getting lucky or fluky wins, but this one actually made them look a little bit intelligent, like they're growing as a tag team. Basically, they kind of out-revivaled the Revival, if that makes sense. So all the other teams were getting a bit weak. Matt Hardy hit a very gnarly superplex to the outside with Scott Dawson onto everybody. So everyone was getting a bit tired towards the end of the match. And then Bray Wyatt was getting double-teamed by the Revival. Curtis Axel on the apron sneakily blind tagged himself in, Shatter Machine to Bray, the Revival go for the cover, but they're not the legal men anymore. Curtis Axel runs in, chucks those lads out, and steals the pinfall for himself. A very Revival move, Curtis. Well done. You know what, when this match was first announced, I was like, oh, they're going to do something stupid with the B team again, I'm not going to enjoy it. But no, fittingly, I'm going to give it a B for the B team's victory. And I thought this was perfectly fine. Next up, Roman Reigns was out, and I was like, oh, what is Roman Reigns going to say this week? What stupid line is going to have been written for him this week that's going to make me cringe? And Roman Reigns said that he's going to beat Lesnar so far back into the UFC that he's going to find his head stuck in Dana White's ass. I was like, wow, that was actually very, very good. Then Paul Heyman came out, and he very interestingly teased an alliance with Roman Reigns. He said, you know what would be great? The advocate Paul Heyman and his client, the Universal Champion after SummerSlam, Roman Reigns. And I was like, give me that immediately. I want it so much, Paul. I'm getting tears, I'm getting emotional. Roman Reigns said, you know what? I've been trained to look for drowning sharks my whole life, and that's exactly what you are. You're a drowning shark. And then Heyman said, yeah, you're right, I am drowning. Drowning in all this knowledge that your father taught me over the years. What's going on? Roman Reigns was like, Heyman spoke some Samoan to really play on Roman Reigns' heritage and family. And I was like, this is gonna work. It's actually gonna work. And then he was like, you don't need to make a decision tonight, but just let me know before SummerSlam. And Reigns was like, And then Heyman sprayed him with pepper spray. I was like, where did that come from? And then as Reigns was recovering, Brock Lesnar's music hit, he ran down, it was all a trap. Lesnar choked Reigns unconscious with a guillotine and hit him with an F5, and I was like, what a segment. Yes, absolutely awesome. This gets an A. I did not see the swerve come in. I was a bit annoyed at first because I was like, oh, they're really telegraphing a potential Heyman alliance for SummerSlam. Save it for SummerSlam. But no, it was all a swerve. And then if we get a double swerve at SummerSlam and Reigns and Heyman make friends again and team up to see off Lesnar, I'm going to be just on cloud 9. It's going to be unreal. I'm going to pop so much. I'm going to be like a bowl of Rice Krispies. This gets an A. Let's go to the next segment. Next up, maybe my least favourite part of the show, sadly, Mojo Rawley and the Authors of Pain versus Bobby Roode and Titus Worldwide. But like, we didn't really see much of the action because a lot of it was spent checking on Reigns backstage after the attack on him, and then another part of the match was dedicated to like a big SummerSlam advert, so we didn't really get to see too much of the action, but Bobby Roode picked up the win with a pinfall over Mojo Rawley. I'm going to give this a D- because while I understand Bobby Roode tagging with Titus worldwide, they're very inclusive lads, they love getting people involved, why are the Authors of Pain tagging with Mojo Rawley? What's going on there? Why would they've got no friends, they're just big animal men. They ditched Paul Ellering to come to the main roster. Why are they suddenly going, yeah, we'll do a 6-man with Mojo Rawley? The booking of the Authors of Pain has really frustrated me recently, and I hope it's just something to keep them going until they finally get a title shot soon, but whew, this was not good. A D-, I'm afraid. D-, guys. I did not enjoy this one little bit. Next up, a lovely video package tribute to Jim the Anvil Neidhart. No grade for that. How can you grade something like that? It was just appropriate and nicely done. And then we moved on to Sasha Banks versus Ruby Riott. This was okay. We've seen a lot of Sasha and Bayley against the Riott squad over the past, it feels like the past year now. It's only been like maybe a month or two, but it's been dragging on quite a lot. But Ruby Riott's back, after a little injury. She's fresh again. So her and Sasha had a decent match. Then towards the end, it looked like Sasha was going to win, but Liv Morgan pulled Sasha Banks through the rope, like tried to distract her and stuff. And then Bayley ran around, made the save. And then when Sasha tried to re-enter the ring, she got rolled up by Ruby Riott for the 1, 2, 3. I'm going to give this a C+. I didn't enjoy it too much. To be honest with you, I'm probably quite biased because I'm just a bit sick of this whole feud. And I'm still frustrated. There's lingering frustration from Sasha and Bayley not turning on each other and just becoming friends again just because. So yeah, not that good. And finally, the last segment, the contract signing for the IC title match at SummerSlam between Ziggler and Seth Rollins. Now, all through the night, they'd been making a big deal backstage of how Rollins wasn't in the building yet. Where's he going to be? Ziggler was like, well, looks like he's going to have to forfeit. So Angle came out for this contract signing to introduce everyone. But before he did, he went, you know what, I'm here for the IC contract signing, and I hope that Roman Reigns kicks Brock Lesnar's ass at SummerSlam. And I was like, what's going on here? You're going to be focused on the IC thing, Kurt. Stop being a cheerleader for Roman Reigns. I know you're an honorary member of the Shield and everything, but come on now. And Dolph Ziggler quite rightly cut off Kurt and came out and went, what are you doing? And Kurt went, I was about to introduce you. And Ziggler was like, yeah, of course you were, mate. And I totally was on Ziggler's side there. Ziggler had Drew with him, of course, and there was a clause in the contract saying that Rollins could also have someone in his corner to counteract the whole Drew situation, but Rollins just didn't turn up. Drew signed the contract. Angle was about to announce that Rollins had forfeited his title shot, and then in the nick of time, Rollins' music hit. He came onto the stage and said, I've been here all night actually. I was just making sure everything was right so I can unveil the man in my corner. And it was Dean Bloody Ambrose. Ambrose came out, huge pop as you'd expect. He's had a haircut, which makes him look a lot older, but also at the same time a lot more like someone who'd have a fight outside a pub, which he already looked like, but now he looks even more like that. He looks like, as a lot of people point out online, looks a lot like Trevor from GTA 5, which essentially is what his character is. It's just crazy, just does things. Rollins and Ambrose headed down and cleared the ring and stuff. We saw the Dirty Deeds for the first time in quite a while, which was very nice. And yeah, it was a decent segment to close Raw. I'm going to give it an A-. Minus points for Angle, kind of focusing on Roman Reigns at the start of the segment, which I don't think was necessary. But apart from that, an enjoyable end to the show. Welcome back, Dean Ambrose. So overall, Raw from Greensboro, North Carolina gets a lovely B+, a stronger go-home show for SummerSlam than I expected given the recent sort of weak episodes of Raw. This was back on track, and I thought it did justice. So, can't wait for SummerSlam, not so much because of the build, but they kind of saved it a little bit with a solid episode of Monday Night Raw. I've been Jack from Cultaholic.com. Thank you very much for watching Graded. If you want to, you can follow me on Twitter at JackTheJobber. You can follow me, you can follow all of us, on Twitter at Cultaholic. And if you want to as well, you can check out our Patreon at patreon.com/Cultaholic. And never forget, of course, if you haven't already, to hit subscribe and to join us.